Hello everyone, my name's Daniel Scott. I work for Coldcut Systems, mainly with the courses, the instructor courses, but I also work with method development, trying to make the Cobra more efficient and effective together with Lena.
Yeah, my name is Lena and I work with Daniel and I'm a fire engineer. And welcome to our second webinar. Today we are going to talk about cutting with the Cobra and some skills. And on the agenda, we have different cutting times in different materials. We are going to talk about different tactics, and we are going to finish with talking about how Cobra affects a fire.
So how we cut, what we can cut, and what happens when we cut.
Yes.
That's what we're going to talk about.
Yes. Firstly, we would like to stress...
Definitely, the most important thing we want to talk about is safety. Whenever you're using the Cobra, use it as you've been taught on one of the instructor courses. We've never had an accident when we do our courses, and we'd like to continue about that. So what you need to think about is how will Cobra affect you and the safety of your colleagues outside the building and possibly inside the building if you're using it together with BA crews. Possible casualties as well. So always think about the safety aspect before we start using it.
And we are going to talk about cutting times in different materials. And as you can see on this table, we have 8mm mild steel, we have also 50mm of concrete and a safety door where we have performed tests. It's a average out of 10 piercings, and I would say that all times are very rapid. It's approximately 13 seconds to pierce through 8mm steel. And Daniel, you have some
samples here. Yes. So this one, this is what we use on the courses. As you can see, it's 1 centimetre, 10mm of steel. This generally takes about 22 seconds, 25 seconds when we cut through this. And then we have another type of steel. We got this from the fire service in Moscow. They did an experiment where they went up to Europe's highest tower, which is the Federation Tower, which you can see on your screen now. And they cut through this, which is 20mm of steel. At the top of the tower is 273 meters high. And I've been reliably informed, if you have ships in the area where you work, is that the hull of a ship is made of this, or this thickness, and the upper parts, the decks and the cabins, they're made of this thickness. So it will work, particularly this one will take some time, but it will go through. The last one I've got, which is quite interesting. This is much the same as a car windscreen, but much thicker. It's 42mm. It's double laminated, and this is the type of thing that you will find on jewellery shops, goldsmiths. Very easy to pierce through, but it took a bit of time to actually cut around. And remember, the Cobra is really for piercing rather than cutting, but it does work.
Wow. We can sum that up and say that Cobra can cut through anything. It's just a matter of time. Yeah,
all building materials that we know about.
Yeah.
It will cut through, but sometimes it takes a bit longer than others.
Right. And you have some good ideas on how to monitor the Cobra.
So we talked about the materials that we use, but it's very important, firstly, the safety, which we mentioned. I would say the first tip is to find a stable and comfortable position. Because if you're cutting and you find you have to move because you're unbalanced or you're not comfortable, because the hole is very small, it's only 5mm, you usually have to start again. And if it's a thicker material, then you're going to lose 20, 30 seconds. So you need to be stable and you need to be comfortable, especially if you're going to be cutting and cooling for up to 5 or 10 minutes. Very important. This one the picture you can see now, what we notice with hard materials, I'm going to give you a tip in a minute, but the picture you can see now is just holding the lance still and straight. And what you'll get is a very small hole, 5 millimeters. Works on most materials. But if we're talking about harder materials like concrete and brick, you'll find it goes through much quicker if you just gently rock the lance up and down. And then you'll get the oval hole, which we see on the right. This is important. Do you know why, Lena?
No, please tell me that.
It's because if we have the small, narrow hole, the abrasive will get sort of impacted furthest in. So then we're cutting against the abrasive rather than cutting against the brick. But if we have the oval hole, then the water and the abrasive can run out. And then we're cutting against the surface again. So just rock very gently up and down with the lance, and you'll find it's much quicker. Windows and doors. Although we said that it will go through any material, we should always try and find the weakest point. And the weakest point are the doors and the window frames. If you think about a window frame compared to a brick wall, which can be 30 or 40 centimetres. The window frame will take a couple of seconds. The door will take probably six or 7 seconds. And also here, there's some other points we can think about. Is you can use icons on the door and windows to get a better grip if you're going to be cooling for a long time. Like on the door, for example, you can see the hinge. You can even make a quick hole first and then put the lance into the hole, or the claw of the lance into the hole. Will give you a very stable position. So they're two good tips. Any material will work, but try and go through the doors and windows. This one, Lena, you've done the course with me.
Yes.
We've got this house in front of us now. Where are we going to aim? What are the optimal places?
Well, you just said that we are going to aim for the weakest point.
Yes.
So I would say I would prefer maybe the window frame, because then my colleagues can prepare a BA attack.
Yeah, exactly. So if we have a separate Cobra attack point, in this example, the window, and then the BA crew can prepare their attack by the door, and we're not getting in the way of each other. And you said the window.
Yeah.
Are there any other advantages for that?
Maybe I won't have any furniture in the way, and if someone's still in the house, maybe that person won't be staring at the window.
Yeah, that person will be low down if there is a fire. We're not going to have any furniture. Generally, people don't put furniture in front of windows and doors. There shouldn't be any electrical installations. There shouldn't be any water pipes. It should be it's advantageous for us to use the windows and the doors. We should also stand. If I use the Cobra with my right hand, we should also stand to the left-hand side of the window, because then if there is some sort of expansion or explosion, then I won't get the glass in my face. It should go past me. Here we have another picture. We also talk about you should think three-dimensionally, because we have a tool that will go through any material, and we will be able to introduce a water mist into the firing. So we don't necessarily have to go to the front of the house. We can go to the side, to the back. In an apartment, we can even go from the bottom and upwards, or even from the top and downwards. So that's we can attack the fire from many different angles.
Right.
And this one, Lena, what were you trying to show on this picture?
I believe it's a picture to show that if hot fire gases are in the ceiling, and you should aim for the ceiling.
Yeah. So here we've got a picture of an industrial premises, and in that case, then we're going to have to angle. If we aim if we say on an apartment or a house, the ceiling height is about 2 meters 30, 2 meters 20. Then we can aim the lance at eye level, because as the water mist spreads out, you'll get a really good hit on the fire gases. But in the picture here, we see that the fire gases are much higher up. So in this case, we need to angle the lance upwards. And so you need to adjust how you use the lance according to the size of the building and then according to the information you've got from scanning the building. You know, if you speak to the owner, if you can get some drawings, then hopefully you'll know what the room looks like on the inside. That's what we really need to know to use the Cobra effectively.
Right. Well, while we're talking about building materials, are there any, you said some may be more tricky to penetrate, like steel is maybe something that is tricky and you have to rock your own.
Yes, some will take time. There's a couple of materials that the Cobra doesn't work so well on.
Right.
In Scandinavia, we have a lot of houses that are built from logs. And what happens is in the log you naturally have veins where the tree takes up water. And what will happen is that as we use the Cobra into the log, it will start following the veins. It does take a really long time. So again, if you have that sort of building, you just go for the doors and the windows, and then that's not a problem. That's the one material that I'm familiar with that's a problem.
Yeah, right. We are going to talk about the effects of Cobra. Once you've penetrated the wall or the material, how does it affect a fire?
Yeah. So the first video we're going to see is this one. It's from an old school in Gothenburg before they demolished it. We can see the Cobra being used through a door. Goes through very quickly, and about 1 meter the other side of the door we have a double thickness plasterboard or yips wall.
We see the curtains are moving, and that's because of the turbulence we get from the water jet. And we have a system with 300 bars. We have approximately 60 liters per minute, and this results in a water jet speed of roughly 200 meters per second at the nozzle. So that's where you get the good cutting ability.
So very, very close to the nozzle, because it moves so fast, and together with the abrasive, we get a very, very effective cutting effect. But then quite soon after that, around about 2 meters, it starts to spread out into a fine water mist. So we get cutting close to the nozzle and then cooling after that. And the optimal distance for the cooling is about between 5 and 10 meters, I would say.
Because that's where you get the largest area spread.
And we should also mention is the film we're about to see, and generally about the cutting times as well. We do have the 60 system, 60 litres of water, and then we have the 30 litre system. The cutting times are more or less the same. It's 1 or 2 seconds difference. But the cooling times are generally twice as quick with the 60 litre system. And that's quite logical, because we have twice as much water. So we have twice as much water mist. So the first film we saw was from the school. We could see it without the fire, so we could see the water mist. And now we're going to watch this video, the next one. And this is the effect on a fire. And what we should look at here is the start temperature. I haven't got my glasses on, but I think it's 564 degrees.
Yeah, I can confirm that.
Good. And this is our training centre that we use in Sweden.
Up!
We can see now, after 34 seconds, it's gone from, 564?
Yes.
Down to 45 degrees. Very, very quick, and that's because of the speed of the water, as you said, by the nozzle, 200 metres per second, and also the fine droplets. And the combination of these two gives a very, very effective cooling effect.
Right. All right, Daniel, what do we see here? This is a house.
Yeah, this is one of several pictures that I use on the Instructor course as an example of what you should expect if you get a good hit with the Cobra. We're looking at very large amounts of white smoke or steam. If you don't do this, then you really need to evaluate your point of attack. Maybe you need to move to a different side of the house. Maybe you need to move the lance a couple of meters. But this is really your goal, this type of result.
Right, so we want to see this amount of smoke.
Yep, we want to see lots of, generally when the fire is burning, we're going to get dark or black smoke, products of combustion. When we when we use the Cobra and get a good result, then that black, dark coloured smoke will start to turn lighter and lighter as the fire is gradually extinguished and we get the production of steam. It's not only the colour we want to look at, but also the way in which it rises, because very hot smoke from the fire will generally go straight upwards. As it cools down, it will start to go sideways, as we can see here, and then eventually, depending on the outside temperature, it will even start to go downwards. And not just the smoke, but we can use our eyes and ears, knowledge and experience, and also the thermal image camera. But this is the aim of or the goal of a Cobra attack.
Right, so this is when you know it's working.
Yes, and then you should just, once you get this result, you should keep going until you get a reduction in the temperature, so the BA crews can then go in.
Right. And you have another video to show us. It's a comparison.
Yes, because the Cobra is not the only tool we can use. There are the tools, and the other option that fire services usually have is the fog nail. So we're going to look at a comparison that we did at our training centre in Sweden. So the first one you can see here is the fog nail. It's the defensive fog nail. So it has a spread of about 3 meters each side, very, very little, not even a meter forwards. And the idea with this is to create a barrier, for example, in a roof. So if you had 3 or 4 of these along the gable end of a roof, you could create a barrier so it wouldn't spread. Here we have the attack fog nail. It's got a distance of about 6 or 7 meters. A very useful tool, easy to use, but the problem that we have is they very often get left on and it leads to water damage. And in comparison, we see the Cobra much more powerful. The water mist is travelling about 30 metres here. And this structure is like half of a roof. So if you think of it as being a whole roof, this would fill up very, very quickly with the water mist. And if there was a fire, it would obviously turn to steam.
So we've been talking about Cobra. The first we talked about was some cutting times in different materials. You showed us the bomb-proof glass and the steel. And then we talked about, help me out.
Materials, and talked about the effects, what happens afterwards.
Yes, and you were giving us some good ideas on how to operate the Cobra as well. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions or just want to email us, you can do so at info@coldcutsystems.com.
And we will give you some more information about safe and efficient cutting and effective use of Cobra.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time.